Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Anae and today I'm going to be doing my teen mom at 16/17. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this video. If you're not subscribed, make sure to subscribe and like and comment. I really want to know if some of you are like teen moms as well or just watching me because it's interesting. So let's see, let's go back in time and rewind. I was 16 years old. I was in high school. Okay, so I was a junior in high school when I got pregnant. So it's by the same person that I had my first kid with. So it's the same. What did I name him in my last video? I forgot, but let's say P. So same guy. I was 16 years old and it went down. Basically there's really nothing to tell because the story of how I met and everything with him is in my first video, which is pregnant at 14 story 13/14. So basically, me and this guy are going out. We're still going out. We're still like boyfriend and girlfriend type of thing. And I have Alexander, which around that time I think he was like 3 or 2.5, something around there. It's been a while. So so I already had a baby. I found out I was pregnant because there's like really no into detail how I'm supposed to sit here and tell you guys the story on how I met the guy, because just go watch the video. I was in school. I was really into like working out and I had an eating disorder, which I still do, but we're not gonna talk about that because we're just not gonna talk about that because I'm really shy to talk about it, and it's just something that I don't want to come out with just yet. But I had an eating disorder. I have an eating disorder till this day. It stopped a while back and it's back. But in that time I had an eating disorder. So basically I was really watching my figure and I was just working out a lot in school. I had what was it called? I forgot the name of the class. But it was like it wasn't like your regular like high school PE class that you had to take in order to grad. It's just a class basically like where you just like worked an intense workout, and I was watching my calories, I was watching everything that I ate, and if I didn't like, man, this is like a eating disorder / how I got pregnant story. So basically if I didn't want to gain the weight after the food that I ate, then I would like throw up, like I would force myself to throw up. Man, that shit was hard to say, to be honest. We're just not gonna get into detail. So basically, I knew I had unprotected sex and I took a plan B. If you don't know what plan B is, it's basically like, something you're supposed to take within 3 days that you have unprotected sex. And I remember that day I had ate a lot and I didn't want to gain the weight, so I forced myself to throw up. My dumbass forgetting that I took the plan B, and I was like, no, but like I took it early in the morning, maybe like nothing's wrong, nothing's gonna happen, like it already processed or whatever. And it didn't because you used a lot. It didn't work because obviously Princess is here, so I just really didn't think anything of it. I told him about it and he was like, no, I think you took it really early on in the morning, so I think you're fine. And I remember it was like one day in my class where I wasn't feeling good. It was, I didn't feel good before, and I'm like, okay, I didn't like eat anything for breakfast. I never did, but I would always like try to drink a juice or at least drink water or have an apple or something, because I knew that I had that class. And that class, I love that class, to be honest, because of the intense workouts and stuff, but it would like kill me. So in one of the classes I just didn't feel good, and they were like, oh, did you eat something? And I was just feeling really lightheaded. I felt like really like horrible, and obviously by me forcing myself to throw up, I didn't know that I was pregnant because I wasn't throwing up out of nowhere. I was forcing myself to throw up, so I really didn't know. Anyway, whatever. So I didn't think anything of it. I'm like, okay, like we went like really hard today, we worked out a lot, and that was just like my thought. And we were going back to, we after like a really intense workout or whatever, like I remember we were going back to the locker rooms. Everybody was gonna change. It was time to go home because it was my last class of the day. And I just started feeling super lightheaded. I just started to feel like my eyes were shutting themselves, and like I felt like the saliva kind of like coming from, if you've ever passed out or had the urge to pass out, you know how it feels. So like my saliva started kind of like coming like down, and I was like, oh shit. I was like, I feel like I'm gonna pass out. I feel like I'm gonna pass out. I was telling my friend at the time, and I was like, dude, I feel like I'm just gonna pass out. I've never felt this before because I had never passed out before. And I remember I walked into the locker room. I feel like this is all over the place, but whatever. I walked into the locker room, and I remember just walking in, and I just like looked at everyone. I was just there like, and then all I remember was like, I feel like I'm passing out right now. Basically just like stood there, and I just remember like kind of like falling back. That's all I remember. And well, at that time, like, you know, like from the beginning, and I just like, I thought I was dreaming for a second, and they were like, oh my god, like I just saw like freaking 5 girls like when I opened my eyes, and I was like, what? I was like, what's going on? And they're like, are you okay? Like you passed out, you just fell out of nowhere. And I was like, yeah, I'm fine. I was like, I'm fine, and I'm okay. And they called the coach, and the coach was like, did you eat something? And I was like, no. I was like, I didn't. Like, he was like, you're supposed to have like a granola bar before you come to my class, blah blah blah. Like, you know, he was upset at the fact that I passed out and I hit my head on the car. So then I went home and I told my mom, and I'm like, hey mom, look, I passed out at school. And she was like, yeah, I know, they called me. And I was like, and she's like, why'd you pass out? And I was like, I don't know. I was like, I think it's because I didn't eat anything. And then she's like, she was like, are you okay though? Does your head hurt? And I was like, yeah, it hurts. I feel like I like, you know, like siento que me duele. Like I feel like it hurt. Like, I mean, it hurts, and I'm scared. What if like it cracked open or something? I don't know, like internally, because I've always been scared of like bleeding like internally. I don't know. So she was like, oh, you want to go to like these doctores that will do, like the doctors that will do an x-ray for you? And I was like, yeah, I mean, I guess, like, because I really wasn't feeling good. We ended up going to the ER. It's like a little small urgent care that they have here, because we didn't want to go all the way to the hospital for x-rays. And they just asked me, you know, what happened, and I told them, you know, like I passed out, and you know, like in gym class or whatever, in the locker room, and I hit my head really bad. You know, we just want to get x-rays. So they were like, before we do x-rays, we have to do a pregnancy test. Do you think you're pregnant? Are you sexually active? Blah, blah, all those questions. And I was like, I'm not pregnant. Like, I'm not pregnant. You know, there's no way that I'm pregnant, right? You know, because my mom was there. Obviously, I was like, there's no way I was pregnant. Like, you know? So the guy takes me back. He makes me take a pregnancy test. Well, they make me pee in a cup, and then they do the pregnancy test. So we were just waiting for the results, and then Pete comes because he was at work during the time and everything. So he comes, and keep in mind, I was still living with my mom at this point, even though I did have Alexander. So Pete comes, and he was like, what's wrong? Are you okay? Like, I just told him what happened. I had already told him what happened because I had a phone, and I told him what happened, and he was just like, but are you okay? Do you feel anything? And I was like, no, I'm okay. Just my head hurts and whatever. And then the guy comes back. He didn't ask me no questions like, you know, do you want your mom to be in here? Or nothing. It was just, he came back in, went like this, looked around, and was like, you're pregnant. And I was like, oh shit. And I started crying. Like, I started crying and crying and crying. And then my mom at this point, like, she wasn't mad. She wasn't like anything. She really didn't feel anything. She was like, I already knew. She was like, I already knew you were pregnant. And you know how Mexican moms are. So I was just crying and crying and crying and crying. I was like, oh my God, like, you know, like, what the fuck am I gonna do? And it was just a lot of things going through my head. So he was like, you know, you need to go to the hospital. You need to go to the main hospital, like the uptown one where we live. He was like, you need to go to the main hospital because they need to know if the baby's okay, if you're okay. Got there, like, they were just like, okay, you know, we have to run some tests, and we have to do like ultrasound and through there to make sure that the baby's okay, that I'm okay. And yep, she was fine. She was perfectly fine. 13, 14 weeks when I found out I was pregnant. After that, like, you know, me finding out that I'm pregnant, I like had to really start taking care of myself. And you know, I took my little paper, my little note to the coach, and this man just looked at me like, I didn't really eat anything. I was throwing up everything. The baby just didn't want anything, I guess, because of the same reason, because I wouldn't like really eat. And I remember I could only eat a sopa maruchan. Like, if you know what that is, like ramen noodles, but I would put tajin, salsa valentina, and limon, like a lot of limon. And that's the only thing I could eat. I couldn't eat nothing else. She didn't want anything else, and it was just horrible. And I really didn't go to the doctor like that. I remember I went to 3 appointments. I went to my first, like halfway through it, and then to my very last appointment. She knew that I wasn't gonna go because, one, I was paying out of pocket, and it was just a lot, to be honest. And after a couple weeks, after I think it was like June 26th, a little bit before that, let me rewind a little bit back. We went to get the ultrasound to know what the baby was, and it was a girl. Obviously, I went to the same lady I went to my first time when I was pregnant. She was super sweet, and this time it was just me, P, and Alex. So it was super, like, you know, I don't know, it was like super cute. And he was kind of upset at the fact that she was a girl, and I was just like he was like, oh, I just wanted it to be a boy because, you know, they could play soccer together. And I'm just like, okay, like, she can play soccer with him, like, that's not a problem. I already knew it was a girl. I had a feeling it was a girl since, like, really early on. I was like, this is a girl. And with Alex, I knew when he was a boy too. And I don't know, I was just like, God blessed me with a little boy and a little girl. And, like, just, I don't know, like, the little pair, like, come on, that's so cute. I'm talking a lot in this video, but it was like around June 26th when I decided to move. I decided to move because just like my parents, I feel like my mom didn't want me to move, but I felt like I had to move because I'm like, well, like, I'm already gonna have 2 kids and living with you, like, I just don't see that that's right, you know. And I remember I moved while she had someone there, and she was like, we're gonna talk about this later. So I remember I packed my stuff and I just left. I didn't want to be there because, like, I don't want to cry again. I'm not gonna fucking cry. My dad he was like, how the fuck is this gonna, like, you know, how the fuck are people gonna look at us now because of this? Like, now you have 2 kids, and, like, you know, you have a kid now and then you have another kid. So it's just, like, really hard. And it was just really hard. So I was just like, no, like, I just don't want to live here anymore. And it was like during the summertime, so I was like on my way to become a senior now, and I just moved. I moved in with him and his family, and I was working during the summer and while I was in school. So I started working, and I started working because I just didn't want to be home. I didn't want to be home. I just wanted to, like, have my mind off something else. And I did. I was working. I remember I was working 12-hour shifts, and I would get like an hour of break. There was a couple times where I didn't even get break. Mostly because they would really like they would really like make me mad at the fact that they would want me to go, like, and take my lunch at the very end of my freaking shift. And I was like, you know what, there's no point of me taking a fucking lunch now. Like, I'm already about to go home. Like, they would really make me mad at my at that job. But I just really didn't care because, you know, it's a check. Like, there's money coming in, and I could pay, like, you know, the hospital stuff, especially like that ambulance bill got me messed up because I'm in high school. Like, you know, he helped me here and there, but We obviously had like other expenses. We had to like, we had Alexander and we had the baby on the way, so we had to like buy a lot of stuff, and it was just a lot. So, you know, I went back to like, you know, school came around, and obviously everybody already knew that I was pregnant because you could see my stomach. And I remember just like, you know, people staring at me and saying, oh my god, like she's pregnant again. And then my friend in like my senior year, I remember this one time she stuck up for me, and it was so freaking cute, and I just felt so horrible that day because I remember that guy told her something like, it was horrible. She was like, so like, it's none of your fucking business, you're not the one that's pregnant. And I love her, I do. Like, we talk here and there. It's been a while now, but I like really do appreciate her sticking up for me. And you know, she was there throughout my whole pregnancy, to be honest. But yeah, and I just remember like school was just, I hated school. I hated going to school, but I would still go because it was something that I wanted to like, you know, give my mom, basically, because she wanted me to graduate high school, and I was so ready to drop out. I was so ready to drop out and not get my high school diploma. I was like, I don't want to do this shit anymore. I was tired of going to school, of people just looking at me and just fucking staring at me. But obviously, I was just tired. I feel like I've been cursing a lot, but I'm like mad. Like, I'm just mad at the fact that I think about like the situations that I went through. But obviously, you know, like I had a part to do in it too because I got pregnant. But I don't regret it. I really don't. I don't regret the fact that I actually graduated school, and even though I don't plan to go to college, but I graduated school. I graduated high school, something a lot of people, you know, there's like a lot of teen moms that can't really make it through high school, especially with 2 kids. But I made it, and I'm glad I did. The day came, I was a week late. Same with Alexander, because my period was super like irregular, so they really didn't know when I really got pregnant. So she was supposed to be born on December the 9th, and she was born on December 15th at 2:33 in the morning. So how that went was, I remember I was in class. They were like, you know, like on the 9th, they were like, what, like where, they were like, what are you doing here, you know, isn't it your due date? And I was like, yeah, but you know, like I feel good, I feel fine, like I can still come to school. And I decided to go to school because I didn't want to miss days, because I already knew that I was gonna miss a month of school after I had the baby. So I was like, no, you know what, I'm gonna go to school. Like, you know, I don't feel anything, I feel fine, I'm perfect, like I can go. So I went that whole week. And I just, there, you know, I woke up on the 14th and I wasn't feeling good from the beginning. I would always take a shower before I would go to school because it would just kind of like wake me up. So I took a shower. I wasn't feeling good. I was feeling super nauseous and with pain, but I thought it was like the Braxton Hicks. I was like, okay, you know, like they're gonna go away. They're like cramps, they're gonna go away. So I went to school, and I would have early release, so I would be off after like my 3rd block class. And the whole day I wasn't feeling good. I was just like, ugh, like I'm just ready to go home. And I wanted to go home, but I'm just like, look, I'm just gonna go to like my last class, and I'm gonna pull through, you know. So the pain wouldn't go away. Like the contractions, they were contractions at that point. They wouldn't go away, and they wouldn't go away. And I was just like I just wanted to sleep. So I got to my class, and I decided to just look at the clock. I'm like, let me look at my phone. I was like, I'm gonna look at my phone. And I started feeling the pains, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna look the next time I get the same pain. And it was 15 minutes. So, you know, the 15 minutes, after that 15 minutes, then I got another pain, and then it started happening again, and then 10 minutes. And then they stopped for a good 20 minutes, and then they came back 15 minutes later, and then 15 minutes later. And then it was time to go to lunch. And I told my teacher, I'm like, hey, look, he knew I wasn't feeling good. He saw since the minute I walked into my class, and he was a pretty chill teacher. If I just didn't feel good, he was like, you know, just let me know. And I wasn't that type of student. I wasn't like, okay, he's gonna let me go home, I'm just gonna go home. If, you know, like, whatever, right? If I wasn't like, if I was like, you know, like, whatever, school, you know? So I didn't take advantage of my teacher like that. I told him when everybody was going to lunch, I'm like, hey, look, I don't feel good. He was like, yeah, I can tell. He's like, do you want me to call an ambulance? He was like, do you think you can make it home? And I was like, no. I was like, I'm fine. I'm like, I don't want to call an ambulance. He's like, are you sure? He was like, your water didn't break? And I was like, no. I was like, it's not broken. I was like, I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna drive. And I texted P and I told him, like, hey, look, I'm not feeling good. He's like, why don't you just go home and take a nap? And no, I didn't do that. I was like, there's no way I'm going to sleep. So when I got home, I lay down for a little bit, and it was worse. So I was like, you know what? I was like, I'm like, I can't lay down. So what I did is I went in, I washed all of her clothes. Most of her clothes was already washed. It was just like the little things that I got after the baby shower. So I went in, I started washing the blankets. I started putting everything exactly how I wanted it. And I washed my bathroom. I washed my blankets. I washed my clothes. I washed Alex's clothes. I washed P's clothes. I washed all of our clothes. And I vacuumed my room. I mopped the floors. I did everything. I was like, I just want the room to be, perfect by, I just don't want to do anything when I get out of the hospital. So I didn't. Like, I remember by the time that he got home, I was doing the last bit of laundry, but I told him that I wasn't feeling good, and I had took a really hot bath, and I've heard those are super bad, but I didn't know at the moment. I just wanted, like, to ease the pain, And he got home, and I just put the rest of the laundry that I was doing away, and I was like, let's go walk. I'm like, let's go. Are you sure you don't want to go to the hospital? My mom even told me to. She's like, are you sure you don't want to go yet? And I was like, no. I was like, I don't want to go yet. I was like, let's go walk. And me and P went and walked around the neighborhood like a good 5 times, where there was a point where I couldn't take it anymore. And I was like, you know what, let's go do one more walk. I'm like, let's just go around the circle, like, really quick, because before we're walking around the whole neighborhood, and then I was like, let's just go around the street. So it was like kind of like an oval shape, but it was like really long. And I'm like, let's just go walk, and after this one we can go. So I told my mom, I'm like, hey, we're ready. Like, I'm gonna go to the hospital already. And Alexander stayed back. It was me, P, his mom, and my mom. My mom got there, and it was just, it was time. I couldn't take it anymore. The pain was really, really, really horrible. And I got there, and they were like, how far along are you? And I'm like, I'm actually like a week late. And they're like, okay. So they didn't even take me to like the first little room where they took me with Alexander. They took me straight to the delivery room. They were like, they were ready. They were ready for me. I was ready for them. The baby was ready for them. We were all ready. And we got there, I want to say it was like around 1:30 in the morning. We didn't get to the room till like 1:50. And I remember, like, I told the nurse, they set me up and everything, and they checked how much, like, how dilated I was. And I was 6 centimeters, almost 7. She was like, how did you make it this far? And I was like, I remember they broke my water, and she was like, there's no way you can get an epidural. And I wasn't gonna get an epidural anyway, because my mom wasn't gonna let me, and I really didn't want to like suffer for the rest of my life with the pains. So I didn't get it, and plus I was already too far along to dilate it to get an epidural anyway. So I told her, I'm like, look, I really have to pee. Like, I really, really, really have to pee. And she was like, no. She was like, that's the baby. And I'm like, no. She was like, what do you have to do? I'm like, I have to pee. Like, I have to pee. And she wouldn't listen. So I'm like, you know what? I'm like, can I please use the restroom? She was like, no. She's like, because, we're scared that you might have the baby in the toilet. And I'm like, but I really have to pee. I'm like, I can't hold it. And then she was like, okay, I'm just gonna put like towels underneath your underneath you, and then you can just pee there. And I was like, are you sure? And she was like, yeah. She's like, that's fine. And I'm like, are you sure? Because it was just uncomfortable for me to just pee like on the bed. And she's like, yeah, it's fine. So she put a lot of towels under me, and she was like, okay, you can pee. So I peed. And she was like, do you feel better? And I'm like, yeah. And then it was like around like 2, we were like talking for a little bit, so it was like around like 2:20ish, around there. And I told her that I had to use the restroom, and she was like, what do you have to do? And I was like, I feel like I'm just gonna like, I feel like I'm just gonna like burst. And she was like, I think the baby's coming. So then they checked me, and I was 8.5 centimeters dilated. And she called the doctor. And this time around, if you watch my like previous Teen Mom story, this time around it wasn't like 50 doctors. This time around it was 2 nurses and a doctor, and then the other lady came in. So it was like 3 nurses basically, and then 1 doctor. So they were like, okay, they're like, so we're gonna call a doctor and then you can have the baby. But I couldn't hold it anymore. Like, I really couldn't hold it. So I started pushing, and I was by myself because they were outside. Like, his mom and my mom were outside, and he was outside trying to call them. I think they went to go get snacks or something. I don't remember. And I really didn't care in that moment. And I was like, look, I just don't feel good. I feel like I'm gonna have this baby right now. And then he went and he was like, she's gonna have the baby right now. And I was like pushing by myself. And I was like, I'm really about to be like Jenni Rivera, have this baby by myself in the freaking like hospital, like in the freaking room. And he like, I was like, can you please go? Like, after he came back with my mom and his mom, I'm like, can you please tell the nurse to come? Can you just like tell her to come, because I feel like I'm gonna have this baby. And they like rushed, and the doctor came too, and they were like, okay, so you're gonna start pushing now, because I was already pushing anyway. And I started pushing, and after like 3 pushes, she came out. Like, she was out. And I just remember she didn't cry at the beginning. Like, they had to hit her twice because she wasn't crying. And after I heard this little girl cry, like, I started crying myself, and I was just like, oh my god, like, can I see her? I just wanted them to give her to me. And I was like, I'm telling you, I was more in the moment, because when they had gave me like the sleeping one with Alex, like, I was really out of it. So I just wanted to see her. I wanted to see what she looked like. And my little pale little baby with a lot of freaking hair, she was so cute. She's still so cute. She was a little bit, they did say she was a little bit underweight right when she was born, but after I gave her, they were trying to like latch her and stuff, she was 706. But her very, very first weight when she got out, it was 609. So then after, they considered her birth weight the 704, because they said that she just needed to eat, because I hadn't ate all day, so they just really didn't count it. But she was just so tiny and so cute. And I just remember, like, she was super pale when she was born. She's still pale to this day. But yeah, it was like the best day of my life. One of the best days of my life. Little mini me was born, and she's wild. She's wild. She's something else now. But yeah, I just remember being in the hospital, and I did have a scare, because she wouldn't stop crying. Like, she would want me to like abrazar her all the time, because la embrasilaron while we were in the hospital. And this time around, they didn't take the babies anymore. They were all like, 4 babies and stuff. So they didn't take the baby around. So I didn't rest anything. Like, I didn't rest at all. I was super, super exhausted. So I had the baby like on my like knees, and I would just like arrullar her. And I remember I was super, super, super tired, and I woke up and the baby was like this. Like, I started crying at 6 in the morning, and I remember I just started crying and crying, because I couldn't believe what I had done. Like, I couldn't believe that I like put her here and I just like knocked out, but I was super tired. And then I remember, I'm like, I'm never gonna let her sleep like this again. So I started to put her in the little thing that they give you, like the little cart. So I put her there, and I was like, I'm never gonna freaking do this again. I felt so horrible, because I felt like she was gonna fall, and I'm like, oh my gosh, she could have hit her head or done anything. Even though she was like a little bit like lejos de la orilla de la cama, but like still, I felt like a horrible mother at that moment. And I don't know what else to say, because she was already born. So it's just, life after that was just crazy with 2 kids. And yeah, but you know, now that I am 21 years old and they're older, I love them to death. I will honestly, you know, not that I'm endorsing teen pregnancy or anything like that, but you know, if it happens, it happens, and it's not the end of the world for you. I'm 21 now, and Princess is 4 years old, and Alex is 7. Like, can you believe that? Like, honestly, it doesn't even seem like they're my kids. They're like my little brother and my little sister. But no, they're most definitely my kids. Actually, you know, believe things happen for a reason, even though, you know, like, people are gonna say that, you know, you had unprotected sex, like, you know, obviously, yeah, but things, you know, I feel like God works his ways, and he could have prevented those babies to be born, you know. He could have just been like, nope, you're not for my job is to support them on anything that they want to do, and obviously I'm here for them. They know that I'm here for them. They know that their mom will always be here for them, and that's all that matters. Nothing else matters. Nothing else. I don't care about nothing else. I just care about them, and I care about, you know, them knowing that I'm there for them. Like, because it's a lot when, you know, your parents aren't there for you when you're little. And I did have to take a big responsibility when I was little. I had to take care of my sisters, and I feel like it wasn't hard for me to become a mother because I already had like a glimpse of what it was to be a mom, kind of, because I would have to take care of them. And my little sister, when I started taking care of her, she was like 3-4 years old, and she was like Princess age now, but she was a lot. Like, damn, like, you're watching this, and you were a lot, to be honest. She was bad, like bad. So I already had like a glimpse of what it was to be a mom. You know, things were destined to be, and I had my kids at an early age, and I feel like there's no reason for me to have another baby. Not at this point in time, not at any point in time, but you know, if it happens, then I feel like it would be with someone that, you know, would definitely be there for me, I feel like. And if not, you know, like, but honestly, I really don't want to have kids anymore. I don't see myself with any more kids, unless it's a bunny, but that's it. You know, I really don't see myself with any more kids. That's all I can say, because I just don't. I really don't. I never imagined myself with kids at an early age, and here they are. But I really don't see myself with any more kids in the future. Not in the near future, not in the future, but if anything happens, I'm not gonna say never, you know. I'm not gonna say never, because you don't know, but at this point in time in my life, I feel like, no, I feel like I just can't have any more kids. I feel like, no, I just feel like I can't. You know, I feel like now is time to focus more on myself and to focus on the kids as well. Definitely to support them. I don't want them to feel like I will be neglecting them or anything, especially now that Alexander has a future, Princess has a future, I have a future, and I feel like, you know, I did learn a lot. I learned a lot, and now it's time for me to enjoy my kids and, you know, enjoy my life with them, because that's what it's about, you know. But yeah, so I hope this video wasn't too long. It kind of was. I think it's like 40, but I hope you guys like this video, and I'll see you guys in my next video. You guys are gonna meet the kids on the next video, so be ready. Get your tissue, because if you have been following me ever since I was pregnant with Princess, then if you're like that OG subscriber, then you're gonna cry. You're gonna cry, because they're older now and they can talk, and they're just growing up. They're growing up, and I'm getting sad because they're growing up. Yeah, you guys, I hope you like this video, and stay tuned for my next video so you guys can meet the kids, the kiddos, the teenagers, the adults. So you guys can meet the kids. But yeah, guys, I love you guys so much, and thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you later.